Hello truckers and welcome back to American Truck Simulator. We are continuing our career mode in the International Lonestar painted in International Orange. Today we have a load of furniture going from Phoenix, Arizona to Las Vegas, Nevada. Looks like it's not going to be that long of a load. Well, I mean, I guess it is a relatively long load at 5.5 hours, but you know, we'll make it work. Go ahead and get ourselves out of here and on the road. I have to say, making a fair bit of progress on this profile, even with only doing one load every day. We're already up in the $100 and some odd thousand, which is you know, relatively impressive given the amount of time that the little amount of time that we've actually spent driving trucks in this game. So I'm pretty happy with our progress so far. We have no debts to speak of. We're pretty close to being able to upgrade our garage so that we can buy another truck, or so that we can make room for another truck anyways. Do a little California roll there to hurry up and get ourselves on the way to our destination. So you know, I'm pretty happy with the trajectory that we are on. The truck is upgraded as far as it can be, and yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. Now, at the same time, I keep thinking I should probably try to get like a flatbed or something, like get a lowboy, so that we can start, you know, doing consistent heavy loads with the lowboy there. But at the same time, if I remember correctly, you end up having to do a lot of what's it called? I forget what the term is when you don't have a load, but you end up doing a lot of driving without a load because you have to find a load that has. You have to find a load that will fit on your trailer, and then you have to go there, get it loaded. You have to wait. You know, there's a bunch of extra stuff that goes along with having your own trailer. Sorry, I thought I heard a weird noise. But I'm curious to know if I'm curious to know if you make extra money from those loads, and if those loads are, you know, worth it, or are worth the extra money that you would get if you do that. So, you know, I looked into possibly buying a lowboy from the trailer market, and, you know, we could get a really nice kitted out one for right around $60,000-$70,000, and I'm talking like fully customized and ready to go, everything like that, which we know would be pretty nice. It'd still leave us with a cool $100,000. So, you know, I'm kind of keeping that in the back of my head as something that we could potentially do. It just kind of depends on if it ends up being actually worth it to do that. That's a hard decision. That's a hard thing to know without really knowing what kind of. It's been a very long time since I played this game the last time, and I did end up buying my own trailer. I just don't remember if it was lucrative enough to justify, you know, spending all that money and then ending up having to put up with all of the additional headache of, you know, dealing with loads that way. Take a little drink there, sorry. So we're just waiting on this light to go. At 5.5 hours, we'll definitely come in under our 30-minute mark. Just kind of depends on the length of the video. It usually just depends on how many small towns we end up having to drive through. But we'll try to get through this as quickly as we can. Let's go ahead and get our cruise control set up for 65. And should be smooth sailing, assuming none of these cars end up slowing down in front of us. Alright. So, I'm trying to think of something to talk about for today's episode, but can't really think of anything specific. I mean, really starting to get the packing started for moving out of the house that we're in. I know I keep bringing that up, but that's really the only update that's going on in my life right now, is just trying to get out of this house, get back to the United States, and, you know, get back into the point where everything's a little bit more normal, except the fact that, you know, we're going to be living in the travel trailer, and I'm a big fan of living in the travel trailer. I lived in mine for 2 years, even though I was kind of stuck in a place that was more of a trailer park than it was an RV park, so I couldn't really go anywhere, which at the time, you know, didn't really matter that much because I didn't have a truck anyway. I bought the travel trailer with the intent of living in it, And then I had a friend who took it from the dealership to the place where I was going to be living. So, most of the time that I was living there, it wasn't a problem that the trailer park that I was living in was more of a live-in space rather than a come-and-go-as-you-please kind of place. Because I didn't even have a truck to tow my trailer anyways. But towards the end, when I was planning on, moving out of there and trying to figure out a different situation, I was planning on moving back to the East Coast. And I bought a big F-250 diesel truck. It's a 2010 with a 6.4 liter, and I know any of you who know anything about those trucks knows that, that's a big question mark all by itself, but then, it also had 500,000 miles on it when I bought it, so I took a huge risk and ended up kind of losing, not because I'm worried about the engine blowing up, but it needs all new injectors. One of the injectors went bad on me, and I ended up having to leave that thing sitting in the parking lot for 2 or 3 months because I didn't have the money to replace it. And we ended up only being able to replace the one, which it was $1,000 by itself, like $1,500 by itself just to replace the one. So overall, obviously it's going to be way cheaper to replace all of them at the same time if you can afford it, but each one of those injectors is I think like $250 or something like that, or they're expensive. They're extremely expensive. Because the engine is so old and everything's also is as worn out as it is, they also recommended replacing the wiring harness for the injector harness, or whatever system it is that connects to the injectors. They recommended replacing that as well, just because it's such a high mileage engine, and who knows when the last time the injectors were replaced. So I bought the truck because I needed something that was big, and I have a 34-foot travel trailer, and I needed a big, hefty truck that would be able to handle that weight safely. And the only truck I could find in my price range was that one. And, it was a nice looking, it's a nice looking, it has a really nice interior compared to what you would expect an older truck to have, and especially an older work truck. The person who had it clearly, took care of it, made sure the seats and stuff didn't get all ripped up and everything. So, I think that it's a good truck that's just old and needs a lot of work. And it's reflected in the price. I got it for what I feel is, I felt it was a really good deal. And I still, for the most part, feel like it was a really good deal because, injectors are something that you're going to have to replace on a semi-regular basis, and it's not cheap to do. It's an expense that you take. I kind of gambled on hoping that the injectors would last longer than they did. So, I'm not, why are you stopping way back here, dude? I don't want to, I know some people are going to be like, why the hell did you buy that truck? It's the 6.4 liter and it has 500,000 miles on it. And I'm like, well, it's the only truck I could afford to buy. And I really needed an F-250. You can't tow a big 34-foot trailer with a 10,000 pound GVWR, gross vehicle weight rate. Yeah, GVWR. You can't tow that with an F-150. You're not going to be. You can, but it's not safe. It's not you can't. If you're comfortable towing something that big with an F-150, and I mean comfortable with it, you need to be reevaluating your judgment system, because the brakes and all of that for the F-150 are not designed to handle a trailer of that size. You can get away with it if your trailer has its own brakes and it's taking most of the weight of the trailer, but if those brakes go out, or if you have an issue and your F-150 has to stop that trailer all by itself in an emergency situation, boy, you're going to have some issues. So I didn't want to risk it. It's my home, and we're moving back into it, so it's going to be my home again. It has all of my worldly possessions in it, and the last thing I want is to put myself into a situation where I end up completely destroying my home because I chose not to buy the appropriate vehicle to tow it. So before you say anything, I am fully aware of the drawbacks of the 6.4 liter. I'd much rather have the the 6.7 liter, whatever the new one is. I would much rather have the 6.7 liter, obviously, but that's a vastly superior engine, and they're in much more demand than the 6.4, which is why they're way more expensive. So any of the newer trucks, the 2011 and later trucks that have the 6.7 liter engine in it, were just way outside of my price range. It wasn't going to happen. It was not an option for me, based off of what I could afford as far as a payment and everything. So I settled for getting the 2010 F250 with the 6.4 in it. Now, there are things you can do to the 6.4 liter to make it more or less reliable, but I also live in California, and most of those things they don't want you to do. So, like, obviously the big thing that you're supposed to do for those trucks is to remove the particulate filter system from it, because that causes a lot of issues with back pressure, and just the fact that the number 7 and 8 cylinder end up working really hard because it's having to burn a lot of extra fuel to heat up that filter to the point where it burns away all the collected soot in there and turns it into ash. So it's not a surprise to me that the number, I think it was the number 7 injector went out. I think it was I think it was either the 7 or the 8 injector. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was over a year ago at this point, so I don't quite remember. But I mean, the truck has been in a non-op status since we moved to where we are right now. So obviously I'm still worried about it because I haven't been driving it. I started up on occasion just to make sure there's oil getting moved through it and charge at the battery and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it runs, but I'm nervous about getting it back out on the road and waiting for injectors to fail, because I don't have the money to replace them, and I certainly don't have the money to keep replacing them one at a time over and over again in short succession. It would be nice to be able to just be like, yeah, let's just replace them all right now, but I don't have 5, 6, 7 grand, depending on where I'm able to get it done, to just drop on it like that. So it is what it is. Let's get our cruise control reset. We're basically at the speed that we're supposed to be, but sometimes I forget to turn the cruise control back on. So yeah, just I'm trying to start to get the house set up so that we can easily move out and separate things for what's going in the trailer and what's going in other places, and we're trying to get all that stuff put together, and it's a lot of stuff that needs to get done. Right lane ends, great. Let me get over here. And then once we get back there, I'll be volunteering for the park service to basically volunteering to pay for the space that we're going to be living in for a while we try to figure some things out. I'm going to be volunteering part-time for that, and so hopefully that's going to cover our parking space for being able to have our trailer parked somewhere, because especially in the summertime you can have rates up to a couple thousand a month if you can find a long-term spot in the San Diego area. So being able to have a consistent spot where I'm only having to put in maybe 20 hours a week, and that covers what we need, then that's kind of what I'm hoping for. But ideally, I don't want to have to do that long term. I'm hoping that by volunteering there, I can continue to grow my channel in the other half of my time. So I could do this part-time, do that part-time, and then I'll be able to continue growing the channel and hopefully get it to the point where I'm making enough money with my channel that my wife doesn't have to work anymore, and then we can start traveling in the trailer, because it's a travel trailer. So that's kind of my vague idea for the future of how I'd like it to go, but it all just kind of depends on, whether or not the channel actually goes anywhere. It's getting there. We're at 871 subscribers, I think, at the time of this recording. So, we got 130 left to go before we can fully monetize the channel, and then I can start getting an idea of, what ad revenue is going to look like once I start getting it. I have absolutely no idea how much I can expect to make because of several different factors. Apparently, the first and foremost, the number, just because you have a certain number of subscribers doesn't mean that you're going to make a certain amount of money. It's mostly based off of, views and watch time. How many ads can Google shove in front of your viewer's face, and then you get credit for that. You know what I mean? So, if you have like 1,000 or 1,500 subscribers, but you're getting lots and lots of views, then that's far more important than if you have, say, 10,000 subscribers, but barely anybody's actually watching your content. So because I don't really know, how my watch time and views and all that stuff are actually going to turn into money, that's a hard thing to guess. But even if I did have a good idea of a metric to use to compare my views and watch time and convert that into something, different content types have different rates that you get paid for advertisements in your videos. So because I'm doing gaming content, that's at the very bottom of the barrel when it comes to the quality of payments that you're going to get for your ads. So if you're doing like a finance channel or something like that, well, you're typically talking to people that probably have a fairly good amount of disposable income that, advertisers want to reach. So those channels typically tend to have a lot more money per ad paid to them than someone on a gaming channel where it's mostly kids and young adults and that kind of thing. Now, that being said, when I look at my channel metrics, I do notice that the vast majority of the people who watch me are in the prime of their life phase. And what I mean by that is that they're not really young kids and they're not really old people. It's really the people that are around my age, in the in between the 30 to 50 range. People who actually are making some decent money. So I'm hoping that my gaming genre that I'm in is typically a very low paying one, but I'm hoping that because I'm attracting attention from people who are likely going to have some disposable income, that maybe I can be towards the top end of that gaming spectrum, because most of the people who watch me are in that age range where they're going to have some extra funds to be able to spend on, if something catches your eye in an ad or something like that. So because I say all of that because I have absolutely no idea what the advertising part of all of this is going to be for me when I first start being able to become monetized, because it could be more than I expect, it could be less than I expect, and there's no way to know. Now, I'm not expecting to be making even $1,000 a month first starting out. That's pie in the sky, unrealistic expectations. But if I'm looking at the numbers that I've seen for some of the estimates, because I've tried to find some online calculators for like ad revenue and stuff like that, just so I could have a vague idea of what I could be making, upwards of $150, $200 a month at first, right when I start becoming monetized, is not necessarily unreasonable, especially if I assume that because my demographic tends to be older people who probably have a little bit more money at their disposal, I could probably get a higher rate for the ads that I'm having put on my channel. So I'm kind of hoping I'm going to be at the top end of that. There's really no way to know until I finally hit that 1,000 subscriber mark and I'm able to fully monetize the channel, and then I have to wait to start to see what the ad revenue ends up doing. But who knows? As I said though, as I've said for this entire time, I have to monetize. It's not really an option. If I'm going to do this professionally, I have to do full monetization of the channel, because until I get big enough that I have enough channel members that I don't have to worry about the ad revenue anymore, well, I'm going to need every income source that I can grab, so that I can be making as much money as quickly as possible, and get to the part where this is my full-time, don't have to worry about anything else gig. And that's going to be dependent on maximizing every income source that I can get. So I say that because I know that I have 3 channel members right now, and I'm super appreciative of those guys. I'm really glad that they decided to chuck in a couple of bucks a month to help out with making this channel a little bit closer to the dream that I'm trying to establish here. And I encourage anybody who's watching this channel, if you are the kind of person who believes in supporting people and helping them try to get where they want to go, consider plopping down into that join button. And even the minimum subscription helps out more than just clicking the subscribe button. The lowest channel membership is going to provide a lot more to me on a monthly basis than any amount of ad revenue that I'm ever going to get. I mean, obviously any avenue, any ad revenue that you're going to get me by clicking the subscribe button is what I mean. I mean, obviously, you know, if I'm getting X amount of dollars of money per month from overall ad revenue, that's split up amongst all the views of everybody who's in there. So that's like pennies. That's pennies per view. So, you know, channel memberships, if you have, and not just me, if you have a number of different creators that you feel like they provide you with a really solid value, and you find yourself coming back to them over and over again, you should really consider, you know, at the very minimum going for whatever their minimum channel membership is, because it really helps out. And if you think about it as more of like you're gonna take $20 a month. Just say, I'm going to take $20 a month because, you know, if you're the kind of person who watches YouTube a lot, just decide you're going to take $20 a month and spread that out amongst a few content creators that you really enjoy, or you really feel like they could go somewhere. You know what I mean? Like maybe you know, you're not obsessed over their content or anything, but you just believe that they could make it if they were able to just focus on it. So, you know, if we kind of think about it that way, I know, especially if I'm able to make it as a YouTuber. Eventually, I will definitely be, you know, setting aside some money every month so that I can help some other people try to claw their way up this ridiculous ladder that we're having to climb to get to the point where you can do this professionally. So, something to think about. It's not always about just getting value for your money. Sometimes it's about paying it forward if you have the ability to do so. And I'm hoping that at some point this channel will put me at the point where I'll have the extra money to be able to pay it forward that way. So, you know, helping people out is a good thing in general. And, you know, if you feel like somebody deserves it, you should set aside some money to make that happen. It's always good to help people realize their dreams and not necessarily just say, you know, screw you, I want my free content. I think we've gotten too used to that, and it's something that, you know, free content's great and all of that, but you have to realize that, you know, the people who make this stuff actually do still need to live. So it's not always possible to make a living off of outside of things like memberships and things like that. All right, so we've discovered Las Vegas, and we're almost at our destination. So we need to get down here, take a left, and get off to our drop-off point. And then hopefully for the next episode, we'll actually be able to have some kind of an interesting load. It feels like the last few loads have just been very kind of hit and miss. Don't know if you could hear me drinking. I was trying to stay away from the microphone for that. I apologize if you heard that. I was trying to be away from the microphone, but I saw that it was still making. I saw that the little graphic for the microphone was still showing it as recording things, and I have a noise gate, or I have NVIDIA Broadcast, and it has noise reduction or noise removal, things like that, and it was still showing that it was recording. So I was like, I hope I wasn't just making mouth noises into the microphone. That's pretty gross, and it bothers me when I hear it, so I try really hard to make sure that you guys don't have to listen to it. But then I do stuff like what I just did there, where I'm swallowing and it comes across the microphone. Sometimes when I listen back, every once in a while, I'll listen to, or I'll watch one of my videos and I listen to myself and I'm like, ugh, I need to figure out a way to stop making those noises because it irritates me when I listen to it. And I know any of you who have that misophonia, I know I definitely have it. Mouth noises just really bug me to no end. It's one of the reasons why, especially for videos like this, I tend to just keep on talking and talking and talking, because it makes it so that I don't end up closing my mouth and then having to open it again. But then my mouth gets all dry and I need a drink, and then if I'm not super paying attention to it, your mouth opens and it makes a smacking sound, and when I hear that myself, I'm like, oh, it makes me, it sets off an angry response to me, not just irritation, but just anger. And I know there's other people out there who are just like that. I understand. I completely understand because I'm the same way. I really need these lights to cooperate, because I was a little bit confused because I knew it wasn't a turning lane, but then there was a left arrow there, and I was like, why is there a left arrow for a road that ends and you have to turn left or you have to turn right? I'm not sure why you would need a green arrow for that, but whatever. And we're just gonna roll through this stop sign. This right here is why I turned off the penalties, is so that I could roll through the stop signs like that without getting charged every time. Because in the real world, everybody does that, and you don't get caught. You don't get caught when you do that unless there's a cop around. Using that front right mirror to keep an eye on my trailer as I make the turns there, because it's more convenient. I don't have to do that every time. So where is our drop-off for this? It says... I'm guessing it's back here. It's just the way the flag is positioned is kind of weird. Okay, I guess it's probably a loading dock. So let's look over this way. That, I had a feeling I was going to hit that. Ugh, I was hoping I was going to get around it. Oh, dude. Get my... Oh, dude. So, oh, okay. This is weird. So we have to get this backed into this weird spot over here. But that's good. I mean, I don't say it's good, but it's okay because we're going to be able to kind of pull up into here and then do a backing up where we can actually stick our head out the window and see what we're doing. So that's good. All right. Oh, come on. I thought we had it. All right. Oops. Drive the trailer, not the truck. All right. Anyways, hopefully you guys had lots of fun. Be sure to click that like button so the YouTube algorithm knows that you did and sends the video out to as many people as possible. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already so that when the next video comes out, it will show up in your video feed and you will be able to watch it as soon as it becomes available. Channel members do get early access to all of my content. I did mention that before, so be sure to click that join button. Check out the list of options that are available for those of you who decide to directly support the channel and decide if any of those are right for you. Again, thank you very much for your time. Hope you guys enjoyed the ride, and I'll see you for the next one.